A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, your first officer. We're cruising at 40,000 feet running to the South African airspace, and we're looking at east.
You're flying over the Himalayas. It's calm until it's not. Suddenly, the plane banks, hard, jagged mountains rise outside your window, so close you could almost touch them. The runway? Nowhere in sight. You grip your seat, but here's the twist. It's not an emergency. It's a routine landing at one of the world's most dangerous airports, and only a handful of pilots are allowed to attempt it. Why? And how does it stay open? Let's take you inside the story of a place where landing a plane isn't just a skill, it's a test of nerve, mastery, and national pride. Welcome to Paro International Airport. Nestled in a narrow Himalayan valley, this is the only international gateway into Bhutan. But Paro isn't just remote, it's brutally difficult to land at, surrounded by 18,000-foot peaks, turbulent wind currents, and zero room for error. Here's what makes it so extraordinary, and why it might just be the most awe-inspiring airport on Earth. To understand Paro, you need to understand Bhutan. Until the 1970s, Bhutan was sealed off from the modern world. No paved roads, no television, no international connections. Tourism? Not a thing. But by the 1980s, Bhutan began cautiously opening up, and it needed an airport. They chose Paro Valley, not because it was convenient, but because it was symbolic. Remote, serene, beautiful, just like the kingdom itself. There was just one catch. The valley is terrifying to fly into. It's narrow, windy, flanked by towering cliffs. There's no flat approach, no radar-guided landing, and definitely no room for pilot error. But Bhutan did it anyway. Why? Because for them, this wasn't about mass tourism. It was about setting the tone. If you wanted to enter Bhutan, you had to do so with care and intention. Even the flight in had to be meaningful. Paro doesn't use modern ILS, instrument landing systems. The terrain makes them impossible. There's no autopilot, no set it and forget it. Every single landing is done by hand, by sight, by gut instinct. Pilots fly entirely under visual flight rules. That means no computer assistance, just experience, timing, and terrain recognition. Here's where it gets interesting. To land, the plane must snake through the valley, avoiding peaks while following a zigzag descent. You'll fly just above ridgelines, sometimes with less than 200 feet of clearance. The final approach? A sharp bank to the left, aligning with a runway that appears almost at the last second. You have just moments to level off and commit to landing. Miss it, and there's no go-around. You abort and try again. If conditions allow, it's part ballet, part controlled fall, and all nerves. Here's what nobody tells you. Fewer than 24 pilots in the entire world are certified to land at Paro. That's fewer than active astronauts. The certification isn't just a course, it's a months-long process. Pilots train in simulators and then shadow experienced flyers in real-world conditions. Most are Bhutanese nationals, trained under a rigorous, almost military-style discipline. They memorize every inch of the valley, not just where to turn, but when the sun hits a ridge and casts deceptive shadows. They know how to read wind from the movement of clouds, how to time descent with pinpoint accuracy. This kind of mastery doesn't exist in most of modern aviation anymore. Where most airports lean into automation and system redundancy, Paro doubles down on raw human skill, and that's by design. What happens when things go wrong? Well, flights into Paro don't push the weather at all. If wind conditions are unstable, the flight is canceled. If visibility is low, flights are rescheduled. There are no shortcuts. This is the part most people miss. Paro isn't dangerous because it's reckless. It's dangerous because it demands respect. Everyone, from pilots to tower staff, works with precision, communication, and a shared sense of gravity. It's less air travel and more surgical choreography. And that's probably why, despite the odds, Paro has an almost spotless safety record. Let's flip perspectives. What's it like for passengers? For most first-time visitors, the descent into Paro is unforgettable and terrifying. You'll feel the plane dip, turn sharply, then suddenly tilt as the pilot clears a ridgeline with barely a buffer. Windows show trees and cliffs flickering past just beneath the wing. The aircraft feels too close. The ground comes up fast. But then, almost magically, you touch down. The silence afterward? That's a cabin full of people realizing they just experienced one of the most unique landings on Earth. Some cry, some laugh, others just sit in stunned silence. So what's on the ground? Paro isn't a massive international terminal. It's a small, serene, almost temple-like airport, reflecting Bhutan's cultural aesthetic. There are no sprawling lounges, no fast food chains, no duty-free malls. Instead, you'll find peace, traditional wooden architecture, quiet processions, gentle security checks. It's less of a hub and more of a welcome mat into a different world. Every part of the airport experience is rooted in Bhutanese values: calm, respect, and mindfulness. You might ask, why not just expand? Why not make a safer airport somewhere else? The answer lies in Bhutan's philosophy. This is a country that doesn't chase volume, it chases value. Mass tourism isn't the goal. Meaningful travel is. Bhutan limits visitors using a daily tourism tax. It protects its culture, environment, and identity. And Paro Airport is part of that filter. It's not just hard to land here, it's hard to get here, period. And that's the point. In an age obsessed with ease, Paro is a rare example of the opposite, a place that chooses difficulty on purpose, not for ego, not for spectacle, but because difficulty can create focus, pride, and presence. Paro reminds us that progress doesn't always mean automation, that there's still space in the world for mastery, that some things should stay hard because they make us pay attention. This is more than an airport. It's a living monument to human skill, to national identity, and to a different way of thinking. So the next time you see a jet slicing through Himalayan peaks, banking hard into a sliver of runway, think of this. It's not chaos, it's control, not recklessness, mastery. Would you fly into Paro or leave it to the few who dare? Let me know in the comments. And if stories like this fascinate you, of extreme places, rare skills, and the edge of what's possible, subscribe. There's more like this coming soon. Stick around. The next story might just shock you even more.